Reporting live from the Nightmare Studio with Jack Sabato and Victor Ramirez, the marketing leads behind our project, coming to you to talk to you today.
Yep. And our first topic of today will be the concept of the game Nightmare.
Concept.
So, you've been with the project longer than I have, Jack. What is the concept?
Concept essentially is the player getting put into a simulated nightmare to face their worst fears and phobias in order to be cured of fear in the real world. So that's essentially our concept and our story. And you can find more of this story on the Nightmare blog with the link at the bottom of this video. So you'll be able to personally read all the little bits and pieces of the story that we've been able to construct here.
This is what we call selling out, my friends. Anyways. Well,
Buy our products.
Exactly. Buy our products. Nightmare. Anyways. So,
Oh yeah, we didn't really I guess I kind of introduced us both, but yeah, I'm Jack Sabato.
And I am Victor Ramirez.
I'm slipping already, guys. It's okay. We gotta have a little fun, right?
It's all right. Anyway, so for the game Nightmare, do you know from the project manager themselves what that inspiration was, or how was the idea conceived to begin with? Do you know this?
I know somewhat. I mean, I came into the project not as a little bit later than the original people who developed it, but I think the original concept was just being in a world where scientists and people wanted to remove people's fears and coming into it as
So let me interject fast. So this is supposed to take place after after our government has fallen down. So it's a dystopian type era, right?
Yeah. Essentially, it's 30 or so years in the future, and there is a large corporation called the Lodge, and they took a lot of revising and revisions to make the story what it is now. But that was, mainly my job, and also Victor put a huge contribution into the story, and then we were able to lock it down. But essentially, 30 years in the future, there's a corporation called the Lodge. They are kind of like a worldwide health organization. They've been able to rebuild cities because in this future world, there's, much like ours, climate change, destruction, earthquakes, and they've been able to rebuild the planet and help so many people. But even with all they've done with their, all their resources they have, they feel like what they're doing is futile. So they proposed a question: is that what happens if they?
Excuse us, guys. Jack needs to go real quick, and we'll continue afterwards.
All right, we'll be back. All right, we're back. As you
Sorry
can
about
see,
that, guys. We had some things to.
we are actually in the game studio as we speak, so we may jump back and forth. But going back to what we were talking about, this organization, the Lodge. Justin, we are actually doing a podcast. Way to ruin it. It's okay. Justin, you want to come in and say hi?
Everyone, this is Justin.
Oh.
He is our. Did you say?
I am one of your UI developers and programmers.
He was our UA development program, and you are currently working on what is it now?
I'm just currently implementing UI navigation with a gamepad controller, so either Xbox controller, PS4 controller, different controllers. That way you don't have to have a keyboard if you don't want to use it, especially with the Oculus.
That is one of our hardworking minions called Justin. Thank you for taking the time to come in with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So it was actually a well-timed interruption there. Well-timed. No, don't worry about it. So anyway, as again, 30 years in the future, corporation, the Lodge, tries to rebuild the planet. They've done a lot rebuilding through natural disasters, but they feel like what they've done is kind of futile, so they proposed a question that what happens if we lived in a world with no fear? So that way people wouldn't necessarily focus on their fears of the world crumbling and instead focus on the important tasks at hand. So they've developed a machine where you can actually go inside of your own mind and be able to
Humanity, you can never satisfy them.
you'll be able to go in your mind, much like in the Matrix. You can go in your mind, except you face your worst fears and phobias. So henceforth, our first level, nyctophobia, the player goes in and faces his worst fear of the dark. And if you're able to succeed, that alters the person's mind, and they will be able to not feel fear in the.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but nyctophobia, for the people who don't know what it is, is the fear of darkness, right?
Fear
the
of
irrational
darkness.
fear of darkness.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So, from just from the name itself, you can have there's gonna be a lot of dark areas.
Yes.
So, for those of you who do not like the dark, I wish you luck on that level.
We wish you
It
luck.
may continue.
We wish you luck. So, that really brings us to the beauty of the game, is that you're able to go into this player, and you're able to go into and face his worst fears. And every level is different. It's a different fear, it's a different experience. But the story follows you. The purpose of the player is to get out and be able to beat his fears and phobias, so he can go into the world and not have fear anymore, not feel fear anymore. So that's the kind of the concept in the story. And again, you can read thoroughly on the marketing website, the link below.
I personally would feel like the moral of this game is that we don't need no fancy smashy technology to freaking conquer our fear. We just need to be
Yeah,
able to stand up to it if I were to put my own opinion to it.
You don't
That's
need,
what it sounds
yeah,
like.
You don't need to cure fear. You don't need to get rid of it, because you can do it yourself.
I mean, fear isn't really all that bad when you think about it. It helps you
Yeah.
think It helps you think cautiously, slowly think things through, and it helps you out. And more often than not, those who had that slight fear or that caution that they felt, it really helped them through that day and to the next thing. So
We don't
and-
have fear though, Victor. Me and you, we just don't feel it. It's not something that we really experience. I mean, because when you're that high of level of coolness, it's not something that really affects you.
Yeah, well, my awesomeness hands rub off on people.
Yeah, I really felt that. We walked in the classroom, I was like, whoa, need to get this guy on board for marketing, because I can feel the awesome level, going. So
When I came in, I just felt a wave of cool just come off
yeah,
me, dude.
yeah,
That wave of cool.
coolness.
It was so cool that I shivered. I literally
Yeah,
shivered.
we just did, it's just that's why this project is the story alone, and the marketing that we've done has been so effective, is because of our awesomeness, mainly. Of course the hard work and dedication, but a little bit in there is awesomeness.
Exactly.
And it's not for everyone, but when
You know,
you're
keeps
born-
that morale high and stuff.
when you're born with a talent, it's just how it is, so
So, we went through the game itself, the idea, and what the person's supposed to experience. Have we actually went over the experience? No, we quickly ran over it. didn't
we
we?
kind of went over, the player's experience, but we can dive in it again. I mean, now that
Well, that can wait till a little bit later. So let's dive into the mechanics of this game.
Okay.
So one of the main mechanics in the game that I do know of is there is a lot of running in it,
yes,
a lot of running and jumping.
running,
So
jumping.
how does that help you in the game? What does that really benefit you in the game? Where?
So, I mean, running, jumping, shooting, and all those aspects are really important in navigating through all the different levels that you'll see. And since every single level is based on a different phobia, what's awesome is that those, in a sense, simple mechanics can be used for different purposes. Climbing up stuff, shooting different types of enemies, getting away, using a flashlight to navigate. So those core mechanics right there alone really,
So am I safe to assume this is first person?
yeah, definitely
Okay.
a first-person game. And I mean, even I may be wrong on this, but even the phobias themselves may be considered a mechanic. Because in every level you go into, whether it's a fear of the dark or a fear of heights, that whole phobia is going to be implemented into there and make the player use those mechanics differently. So.
Interesting. I can see it. So are there any other mechanics that are more just for fun?
I think you have your core mechanics, you have your running, jumping, shooting, but there's also picking up certain items, like in one case in the first level you have a flashlight, you have to pick up the batteries, so picking up items.
So a lot of collection detail.
Collection, there's not a tremendous amount of collection, but there is enough collection to where it is engaging to the players, and it's needed for their completion of the level. You'll need to gather the batteries so you can see your way through, or you're going to be absorbed by darkness on the first level. Or you may need to get ammo for a weapon that may or may not be in the game, so stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, those mechanics sound like they're going to be fun.
Yeah.
It has the makings of a fun game.
And then again, going back on it is that a lot of games I see have those same core mechanics, but the thing is the core mechanics are used kind of the same throughout the entire game. But since every level is a different type of, in a sense, world. Every time you go into it, you're going to use those mechanics differently based on what, phobia mechanic is in the level. So it's interesting to see how many worlds are in one game, all while the story follows each of the levels. It's amazing, and I love the story and the gameplay because of it.
Okay, so am I safe to say, I'm gonna assume here that the atmosphere and the mood is more of a darker undertone, more to build that sense of suspension and
Yeah.
fear. Do you can you explain to me how they go about doing that aside from the levels just being phobias themselves?
And like how like what was it, the suspense, right? You were saying like how wait, repeat the question one more time for me.
So, what I'm curious about, and I'm pretty sure people are listening curious about, is the atmosphere and the mood. Is like what is this feeling that you want them to have
I got you,
when
I
you're
got
going
you.
through it? Not just based on the phobia level themselves,
Yeah.
but that suspension, that tension
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
there.
I mean, generally, the whole game we want it to feel scary and kind of a little horrid, like it's supposed to be that has that dark undertone. So the game, but again, what's interesting is that each level you go into is going to give you a different kind of context based on that. For instance, like when you're in the first level, Fear of the Dark, that's already very scary. That's a dark undertone. But when you go into levels, the future ones, for instance, if it's Fear of Heights, that's going to give you an uneasy type of feeling, or maybe a suspenseful type of feeling. So even though the entire concept is based on phobias, which are something that you're afraid of, it's fear. That's what the whole thing is about, fear. But fear has different linings to it. You have that suspense. So every level will make you feel a different type of fear, and you can feel accomplished when you beat it because you overcame that fear. So that's where it's from. As you can see, it's getting very lively in the studio right now. It's very good.
You can tell everyone enjoys working together here. They
Yeah.
have fun with what they're doing. I mean, we do have some of our silent workers who are out there so focused on their game,
Yeah.
trying to get it nice and pretty for you guys, fun to play.
Yeah, they love when we come and bug them.
Yeah,
'cause
they
we're the-
absolutely love it.
when we ask them to film, but that's marketing for you.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship, but they need us.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, they do.
So, now that we got into the details, the atmosphere and the mood and all that little detail of it, what was that kind of? I've mentioned the tone before that was supposed to be kind of a darker undertone. Is there any other tones that are gonna flow through it? That
I think a really good one is going to be probably the excitement, level, because you do have very, scary undertones and fear-based, experiences, but it can also go down to excitement too, because when you're getting closer to the end of a level and you killed a couple enemies, you defeated some aspects, you got over the level, you're really going to feel that sense of accomplishment, like, hey, the person that I'm playing is afraid of this and this, and I just beat that fear, So, hopefully, in a way, maybe it can give people, encouragement to face their own fears in in life and know that, fear is not something you need to cure it. You can overcome it yourself, So,
Definitely. A lot of people can take a lot from that fear is something that any person can overcome. And I've heard this over a lot of the talk, but they mentioned, I heard a lot of mention of using the Oculus in some of the work.
yeah, it's definitely something that we're...
So that there is going to add another level of dimension because it'll feel like the person is actually in there with the mask on and everything. So that's a nice little touch you guys are going for.
Yeah, the Oculus is going to be really cool. I mean, it's something that's still being worked and implemented now as we speak. It's going to be really interesting to have that in there because if you are using the Oculus, you really get to dive into the simulation that we're really trying to portray, as if you are patient 52, in his own mind, conquering his phobias and fears. So the Oculus, when implemented, will give a really, really true feeling to what the story and the concept of the game is.
Yeah, I believe the Oculus is really going to convey that sense of threat and freaking fear and all that excitement.
Yeah.
Definitely. The Oculus is very unique in that aspect, allowing us to have our players experience that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't wait to. Another thing I've heard was it. Have you guys actually tested out the Oculus yourselves? Have you?
Yeah.
Has it been released once at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried the Oculus a while back. As people that are working in marketing, we do our best to play test the game as much as we can. And I actually did get an opportunity to use it, try it. It was interesting. I've never actually used the Oculus until working on this project, since it is a fairly new piece of hardware in the gaming industry. So it is amazing to be inside of the game like that. It's kind of like the future of gaming. I see it. So it was a really amazing experience.
All we need is our full dive system. For those of you who know Sword Art Online, that means complete and total immersion. I hope you understand that. For those who get the reference, that would be great. Anyways, the Oculus. So, you tested out the Oculus out. You called it interesting. What were you feeling when you went through those levels? Because I'm genuinely curious. I was not part of the team during that time.
Back when I tried the Oculus on the game for the level Nyctophobia, the first one wasn't in the stages it is now. It was still early on in development, but I could really get that feeling of the fear of the dark, because I personally don't have a fear of the dark myself. But what I love about this game is that you go in and you enter this person's mind and you actually feel what they feel, and so it was really great. I actually felt like, I have this. If I was this, this player in the game, if I was this person that had this fear of the dark, this is my worst fears, and I'm here to overcome it, and I could really experience the whole thing on a new level, So, on a new level.
All right, that sounds like it was fun. I don't know. Is there anything you feel like expanding on that we haven't touched upon yet, like the engine, the universe itself, or anything?
I think the things we should go into the last couple of things is really the engine. The Unreal Engine is what we're using, and kind of talk about the team.
Unreal Engine 4?
Yeah, Unreal Engine 4, and how this entire team took a leap and started using this engine when none of us really had a lot of experience in it.
So are you saying that that you guys are the first team to actually do all this?
Yeah, in the Los Angeles Film School, where we all are aspiring game designers, we are actually one of the first team of individuals that were able to use the Unreal Engine 4 and make a game on this level of this size with this complexity, and that really that goes into the world of the game really well, because in order to be able to have a game with this type of story, you need this type of gameplay to have it, and this big of a game definitely requires the beauty of Unreal. It's a beautiful engine. But I think, the overall world around the game that I explained earlier about the Lodge and the Fear Machine, being able to go into your mind and the machine helps you alter your mind, is an interesting concept. And what's nice is that we were able to build a world around a concept, and that's what's really, really beautiful. We have a great concept for the game, but the world around the game is really beautiful. So I think we should end it on is that, I hope you enjoyed our podcast. I would definitely check the link at the bottom, look at our marketing website, and check out the story, read the timeline that we've created, and begin to understand the world that we've created. And when you jump into playing Nightmare when it's released, you'll be able to have such a solid understanding of our story and be able to love it even more. And of course, we love feedback. We have links to all of our social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We do have a large amount of content on there and a good solid following so far. And we'd love to hear, your feedback on it. So if you took the time to listen to our podcast, check out everything, send us messages, let us know if you have any questions or want to see any other aspects of the game. There's trailers out, so there's a lot of things, and we would love to get some of your feedback. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely. If you have anything you want us to specifically touch on in the development process of the game, please do send us a message, free PM, anything. Do it. We want to hear from you guys what you guys want to hear about. So for the most part, I think we can end it off here as I am Victor Ramirez, and this is
Jack Sabato.
And we are signing off, and thank you for the support.
Yes, thank you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day, everybody.